Welcome back, fellow gardeners. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the Stapelia. It is a beautiful succulent, and so I'm going to show you how to do a stem propagation, and also I had done a seed propagation and I had 100% success rate on it, so we can talk about these things. So my name is Alice and I'm the Red Soil Gardener. Now the thing about the Stapelia, it's all about the flower, and it has an unusual flower, and they call it the Starfish Flower. Now the beautiful thing about this flower is that it does open up and it does look like a starfish. Now other varieties of the Stapelia is that sometimes the flowers are really, really big, and the one I have the smaller flowers. I only noticed that I did the flowering because I've had it for a while, but it's only recently I was in the greenhouse and I looked and I saw this maroon colored flower hanging from the stem, and I was like, oh my gosh, and that's when it started. Now every single month I've been getting blooms. Now the thing about this flower is actually quite interesting, because basically what happens is that once it does open up, it has such a foul smell. It smells like, people say, rotten meat. But what happens, it attracts all these flies and pollinators. And these pollinators go in there, and once the flower does get pollinated, the flower dies. And once it does die, what happens is that you get this pod forming like this. It was closed, and then it starts swelling, and then once it does mature, the seeds, it just pops open and you're left with all these white furry type seeds, and with these seeds you can actually propagate. What I did once this follicle did explode is I did collect the flowers. Now what I did is I did put it on my seed tray, and I covered it very lightly with soil. But what I didn't understand is that when you're doing this propagation, first of all, the soil can't be moist all the time because you will lose your seeds. And basically, I think I overwatered it. Then the other day, as I was deciding to do this plant, I looked and I found a baby had actually come up, and this is what the baby looks like. It looks like it has ears. So I'm actually quite happy about it. So the next time I do get my flower and I do get my follicle, is once it does explode, I will collect those seeds and actually try to propagate it, which I will put in a seed tray and sprinkle the seeds down and lightly cover, and just put not so much water on it like a normal propagation, very lightly water it and leave it there, and within maybe a month I will get these babies popping up. But now I know. Now what I noticed again with the flower, I wondered, where does it actually come from? Then yesterday when I was getting ready to do this propagation, I noticed that on these little bumps on the side of the stem is where the flower is coming from. And if I look here, I can actually see them. I wish I hadn't picked this one. I can see all these little flowers popping up. And this too actually look ripe for flowers popping out. So now when we're doing a propagation, so we know that you do get your seeds from the follicle once it does pop, and I will try that again and see if I can get many, many babies. But then here again is what we're going to try to propagate. So what I'm going to do is actually take a stem from here. Okay, this is my stem. Now, if you notice, the other thing about this plant, it does trail. So when you do have it in a basket or in a pot, it will lean over and it will drop. So that is actually one of the beauty about this plant. So you can imagine it dropping over, and then you get these lovely maroon-like flowers popping up. It is very dramatic when they do open and they look like a starfish. So what we do here is take a sharp knife, and it should be sterilized. I'm just going to separate it. So that's one. And again, this baby's forming, the flowers are forming. Maybe I'll look at this one too. I'm going to take this one because we don't want the succulent to actually go into flower production and take all that energy. All we need is to get the roots. So here I have one, and here I could actually separate it like that. And with these ones, again, this is the one with the rooting. So I'm going to just take it like this and try to return it here. Because what we want to do with the propagation is actually have rooting working, so we can see how it works. Now again, with succulents, as we know, is you have to let them callus. So what I should have done, well, just for the purpose of this particular episode, I haven't calloused it. But what I'm going to do is when I do put it in my soil mix, I will just let it sit there. I am not going to water it, because the thing about callousing is actually to allow the plant to heal. So we'll just put this one back here, and then we'll continue. So now that I have this succulent mix, which has got a lot of, it's got to be well draining, because as we know with succulents is that if it's not well draining, what happens is you will get root rot. So the water should be able to actually run completely through. So what I'm going to do here is actually take these babies and just put them in here like that. Now in this succulent mix, I do have a bit of potting soil in there, but mostly it's just pumice and a bit of potting soil, but it should work because we just don't want to get root rot. So I'm going to just put this one here. And then I'm going to take this one and put it a bit deeper here. Basically, that is my propagation. Now, what I did here, this was actually a plant that I did separate, and I did my own little propagation here. And of course, as we see, it does have a lot of really good rooting like that. But I used exactly the same technique, which was basically take your stem, put it in soil which has a bit of potting soil and a lot of pumice, so making your own succulent mix. So what I'm going to do is actually pot it in here. So I'm going to place this one in here, like that. And then I'm going to take this one, and I think I will stand it up like that. And then with these ones, I'm going to just stand it like this. And then just cover it. So this is my propagation for my plant here. And this is exactly how we were doing it. And these are ones that I had propagated before. And we saw the rooting. And this is the one here that has the flower pod, this flower pod. And basically, as we see, we're getting baby flowers coming up, and I will post those on Instagram. I'm so proud of that. So thank you, fellow gardeners. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to press that notification button so you're always notified. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Leave your comments. I do always try to answer it. And it's always nice to get your messages. And thank you so much for your support over the years. And thank you. So happy gardening, and do get yourself one of these, because when that flower does open, it looks stunning. Thank you and bye. Happy gardening.